In this video, you should learn the difference between sufficient and insufficient evidence in argumentative writing. First of all, let's talk about the definitions of these two words. Sufficient means enough or adequate. So if you have sufficient evidence, that means you have enough evidence or you have adequate evidence. Insufficient starts with that prefix in, which we know means not. So in essence, it means not sufficient or not enough. So that means you do not have enough evidence. In argumentative writing, you've already talked about how each reason needs a piece of evidence to support it. Otherwise, your claim is left unsupported. So for each reason, you should have a piece of evidence, at least one. And if you don't, then that would be insufficient. For this video, we are going to be looking at the year-round school article, summer 15 days or 2.5 months. So if you could pause the video and get that out if you haven't already, you can either open that in a new tab or you can have a hard copy in front of you. In this paper, I want you to look at the second paragraph, so not the opening paragraph, but the second one. That starts, it is a widely accepted belief that year-round schooling positively affects student learning. Now, in an earlier activity, you have already traced the reasons and the evidence. So I want to go over that just very quickly in this paragraph with you. So first of all, the first reason in this paragraph is that there are many first and last days of school, and these many transitions interrupt the learning process, and you were to underline that reason. Along with that, there was some evidence that you needed to know. So the first piece of evidence was that most year-round schools use the 45-15 method. And you were supposed to put stars around these. I'm just going to use asterisks here. So followed by 15 days off. So that is your first piece of evidence for that. Okay, there's another reason a little bit further down. And that reason is there is no evidence of higher test scores. Due to that, many schools change schedules. Many schools with year-round schedules end up switching back. So in that second reason, there is evidence after that in the form of an example. So here is that evidence. Since 1980, 95% of schools that tried year-round schedule changed back to the traditional calendar. Now, if you look at that, that is actually a piece of data, research data. It has some facts and figures in there, so that's a pretty effective piece of evidence for that reason. Both of the reasons in this paragraph have evidence to support them. And so this paragraph does have sufficient evidence to support the reason. Let's scroll down now to the second paragraph. Like any other facility, keeping school open requires a great deal of money. In this paragraph, we're going to explore the second claim, which is that it's going to cost more money for year-round school. The first reason we have for that claim is that keeping school open in the middle of the summer requires air conditioning and adds to the school's expenses. Now, even though this is a valid reason, we don't have the evidence to back that up. If you'll notice, there's nothing after it. There's no facts or figures that give us any information as to how much it increases the expenses or how often they have to run the air conditioner in the summer. And so we really don't have any facts or figures to back that up. And there also is an example there. They actually just go right into the second reason, which is the usual utility bills grow because of the additional open school time. And in that case, there is also no additional evidence there. So as we look at that, we see, okay, so we have increased money because of air conditioning and then increased utility bills. Utility bills would be like the water and the electricity, things like that. But we don't have any figures to go along with that as well. So that does not have any evidence to it. Finally, we're going to go to our last reason, which is that teachers must be paid for the time that they are working, which is added time there. If you look after that reason, there is actually some evidence after that one. For example, a high school in Arizona had a cost increase of $157,000 when they switched to year-round schooling. Now at that point, we're going to assume that that goes along with that the teachers must be paid right there. So that last reason does have some evidence there. So now we have to look at that paragraph as a whole. Have we gotten sufficient evidence to prove the reasons in that paragraph? Well, we have 3 different reasons that are presented in that paragraph, but we have only one piece of evidence. So I would say in that paragraph, I don't think there is sufficient evidence. They could have more thoroughly proven their claim if they would have put a piece of evidence after each one of those, some facts and figures after how much air conditioning would cost, and some facts and figures after how much the utility bills would grow. The more evidence you can add, the more solid your claim is going to be, the more valid your claim is going to be. So that paragraph is an example of not having enough evidence. Let's go ahead and look at the third paragraph, starting with an important part of a child's life is summertime. I'm going to give you your first reason. The first reason starts with during the 15-day breaks, they would be thinking about their quick return to school. So that is your first reason there. On your own paper, I want you to look and see if you can find evidence. There is no evidence in this part. A good place to, or a good type of evidence to put here would maybe be some expert testimony there, maybe some students who had experienced year-round school, a quote from a student, or an example of from your own personal experience. But there is no evidence for that. There are 2 more reasons in this paragraph. I want you to pause the video now, and I want you to find those other 2 reasons, and I want you to decide if there is evidence for those 2 reasons. When you have done that, then start the video again, and I'll go over my findings and you can check with yours. Okay, so if you have looked for the other reasons in your paragraph, you probably have found it would also be difficult to coordinate family vacations and parents' work schedules. That is your second reason in this paragraph. And your third reason is children would not be able to go to summer camps. So there are our 3 reasons. Also, you'll notice that the third reason comes right after the second, so there is no evidence here. We have no evidence that goes along with coordinating family vacations or work schedules. There is, however, evidence for the summer camp thing. So down here we have a piece of evidence for the summer camp. All right. So out of that paragraph, only one of the reasons has evidence connected to it. So again, this paragraph has insufficient evidence. In order to have sufficient evidence, each reason must have evidence with it, and then that paragraph has sufficient evidence.